Hey, so we looked at this box. I showed you this box that we had, and now, well, we saw that there's nothing. We don't have an image of what's on the bottom. So, in science, there's a lot of stuff that we actually don't see. For instance, we didn't see the dinosaurs when they were actually walking around. We don't have video of that because we didn't have the technology. People weren't living at the same time. But we have evidence. We have bones and fossils and other scientific pieces of evidence that we can use to create and piece back together what we think happened back when the dinosaurs walked the earth. So same thing as with the box. The box is a mechanism that we say, well, we have lots of evidence. I can see all the different things, but the bottom I can't see, and so we can claim what's on the bottom. And when we claim what's on the bottom, when we make that claim, we have to use patterns. And so science, we use patterns a lot of times. And what I'm going to do here is show you kind of how to write patterns, a cause and effect pattern or a causal pattern, and then how we can use that pattern to develop a coherent paragraph to say what's on the bottom. So a cause and effect pattern, a causal pattern, usually has an if cause, like a clause portion, and then a then portion. So an if something, the cause, and then, which is the effect. So take some time now to try to write yourself, pause the video, and try to write some cause and effect patterns of things that you saw in the box. Now, having tried some of that, take some of your patterns. Hopefully some of you are writing down some things about colors, and maybe like one side is this color, another side is this color. And one of the things that people may have come up with is if one side is blue, then the other side is yellow. So that's one pattern that is very common. One thing that when people use the word other, however, if I have one side being blue, other, well, there's four other sides that are actually visible. And so other is not a great word. And so sometimes a more specific word is appropriate. So for instance, some of you might have said, well, if one side's blue, the opposite side or the alternate, well, I think opposite is probably the best word. The opposite side might be yellow. So that's a more specific pattern that we have. A pattern generalizes. It's good for any side. So if I have one side is blue, the opposite side is yellow, and so what we're going to do is write a claim pattern, evidence, reasoning. A CER, we've used CERs before, but I'm going to add a P in there. It's a CpER, and we're only going to focus on the color of the box. I know some of you have ideas about the number or what the number is, but when we start having too many things in our claim, it gets overwhelming. There's too much stuff in your paragraph, and you want to make sure you are concise and specific, and you have really concrete pieces of evidence to claim what's on the bottom. So we start off with a claim. Claim is something that it's a statement. It's what you think is on the bottom, just one sentence. So don't use any evidence here. The claim is just like this. So based on the evidence, I always start my claims the same way because I'm basing my claim on evidence and not just what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling that day. I would say based on the evidence from the box, the color on the bottom should be, and then you would figure out what color you think it is. Okay, so that's how you start off your starting sentence, your claim. Now we move to the patterns. So we have our cause and effect pattern or if-then statement. You just insert it right here. So claim goes first, then you do your pattern, And then after the pattern, we need to support our pattern. We got to give examples. So let me show you how that's done. Here's are some patterns to support this claim. And I usually put a connecting sentence. So based on the evidence, make your claim. Then there are patterns to support this claim. If one side of the box is blue, then the opposite side is yellow. So we started with based on the evidence, and now we've moved to these are the patterns. If one side is blue, then the opposite side is yellow. So that's my if-then statement. Okay, so anything that I've written in blue here, that's what you're writing down in your notebook. Then we get to our examples. So what's one example? For example, well, the front was blue and the back was yellow. So now I'm giving an example of what I saw that matches the pattern. Okay, what's another pattern? Or what is another example? Well, we can use another example as the right side was blue, the left side was yellow. So now we've got two sides here. And some people might ask, well, why can't I use the top? Can I use the top as a piece of evidence? Well, I can see the top only, but can I actually see the bottom? And if I can't see the opposite side from the top, then I can't use that as a piece of evidence. I can't use that as an example because I can't actually see the bottom. So you can't use the side that you're trying to make a claim on because that is not something we can actually see. That's where the reasoning comes in. So the reasoning is that, or justification, as some people say it is how we use the pattern to connect why we think the bottom should be the color that we're choosing. So I think the bottom should be this. What makes me think the bottom is yellow? Well, a lot of people said the bottom is yellow. What makes me think that? Well, the opposite side, which is the top, that is blue, okay? So that's where we start connecting our pattern, our if-then statement, to how we now make our claim on the bottom. So here's an example here. One way to write the reasoning is, since the top of the box was blue, okay, so I'm now connecting this, it makes sense that the opposite side or the bottom should be yellow, okay? So I've stated my claim, I've kind of built my reasoning, my justifications, my patterns, all that evidence there. And now I'm saying, well, this is why I think the bottom should be yellow, because the top was blue and that's the opposite side. And that's your CER. It's very structured. You're going to write a pattern and some evidence and make a claim on something else in this block now. So what I need you to do for your assignment is this. You're going to go through the same process. You're going to write a pattern that describes something about the box numbers being odd or even. So if something, then something else. Okay, so make sure you incorporate odd and even numbers. Go back to your evidence and take a look at that. And then make a claim about the number on the bottom being odd or even. Don't write about the actual number, only write about odd or even, because remember, if you start adding too many claims to your paragraph, it gets bogged down. There's too many things you got to write about. It gets too jumbled. So we want to keep it clean and concise and just to the point. I only want you to claim if the bottom is odd or even, and that's it. And then you're going to write a CER or CpER on the bottom of the box. So go through the same process. Based on the evidence, write a claim. There are patterns to describe this. If this, then this, your pattern. Here are some examples. One example is this. Another example is this. So always give two examples when you're doing your paragraph. And then your justification. It makes sense, or because this is what I see, then it makes sense that the bottom of the box should be this. Okay, so good luck with that. That is your assignment for your first CpER for this class.